Sunday, April 12th, pro baseball today. It is a Sunday, and we got an action-packed show for you today. Stacked up, we'll hit each and every game on the Major League Baseball docket, give out some home run props, maybe some long shots that could win today as well, but so many things to go over. Craig, we're about 15 games into the Major League Baseball season. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Craig Mish. And away we go, Craig. Love talking baseball with you. Let's have some fun today.
Yeah, happy Sunday to everybody watching. I think this is a great day on the calendar year. Donnie, you mentioned it. All baseball teams playing today. So we'll have full breakdowns. And then naturally, when the games are most of them are over, I think today people pivot over to a little final round of the Masters. So I know my couch will be ready for me coming up later this afternoon.
Amen. Corner getting ready for a special one. We thought, by the way, quick golf talk there. Rory running away with this, up 6 strokes here. Just has to play par golf out, and he should win this. And now we have ties in the final day here. Fantastic stuff on deck. And also, Craig, weather temperatures. Now, you don't have this issue in Florida. This week, starting tomorrow in the Northeast, we're in the mid to high 80s all week long. Craig, that's hitting weather. And some of these teams can really do really need that, man. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, you look across the board at Sunday starters in Major League Baseball, and if you didn't know any better, you would think that every ace is pitching in Major League Baseball today. Yeah, numbers offensively down early in the month of April. I still think, Donnie, not a huge indicator of the season, but naturally when you're looking at the matchups and you're trying to find, like I was earlier this morning, home run props, I'm like, well, this guy's pitching good, and this guy's pitching good, and this guy's pitching good, and this guy's pitching good. I'm like, wait a second here. Where's the guy that's going to get bombed? There aren't a lot of them today. In fact, I think Roki Sasaki may have the highest earned run average for any pitcher in the big leagues today that's pitching today. But yeah, we'll find some gems, and we'll see if we can help people out today.
Sasaki getting hammered by left-handed bats, too. Could be a prelim of what we're looking forward to. But understand this, too, Craig. Each and every week we talk on Sunday, it's like, okay, you're going to have the ebbs and flows of a Major League Baseball season. We talked about last week, the Los Angeles Dodgers, good start. Yeah, it's still a great start for the Dodgers. But the New York Yankees, let's start here. 4 straight losses this week, Craig, now sit at 8-6. And also, some key indicators of Jazz Chisholm, a play that could have been made. Maybe it helps them win a game. Maybe it gets the extra innings, whatnot. But they lose yesterday again. And Jazz Chisholm in the focus of, maybe you could have had a little bit better play on this one here, huh?
Yeah, a little bizarre comments yesterday from Jazz after the game. Look, I have experienced the Jazz Chisholm experience for many years here in South Florida. And what I could tell you is a lot of people are going to make a lot of this, and it's the weekend, so Jazz is going to get away with this a little bit until tomorrow. But the reality, Donnie, for Jazz, and I would tell him this as a friend, just like I would tell him this when I covered him for many years in Miami. Jazz says a lot of stuff. He does. He says a lot of stuff. He says a lot of stuff without really thinking it through, too. He's unfiltered. That's who he is. I'm going to guess that he probably did know the rule. I'm going to guess that in the moment, he was just kind of having fun a little bit. Yep. Half truth, half fantasy. That's always who he's been. And you really can't take a lot of the stuff that he says seriously. He's a really good ball player, but when it comes to his interviews after the game, you don't just take them with a grain of salt. You take them with a bucket of salt. I've learned this for many, many years covering Jazz. It doesn't make him a bad guy at all. It's just he's a fun interview after. You just can't take him seriously. I think he said he wanted to do 70-70 this year, Jazz. 70 home runs. 70 stolen bases, I'm kidding. But this is sort of the guy that he is. People are going to go nuts over this, and everyone in New York's going to go nuts over this too. But I've learned this through the years. He's a fun interview. You never know what's going to come out of it. And usually when he's doing the earring, it means that it's all BS. Usually that's what I've come to.
About 20 years ago, Craig, you had the commercial, the Michael Vick experience here. It's like, you get on that rod. Whoa, that was a fun one. Because, by the way, if you didn't read, if you're maybe just listening along, the quote was, I was really going to try and tag the runner and just throw it to first. I don't know what the rule is, which right there gets everybody's ears perked up. If I went to first base and threw it back to second, if it's still an out, is it a double play? I don't know. Does it count as an RBI? Which then Trent Grisham counters in and says, tries to clean up the situation. But that's Jazz. He's going to be exciting. He's going to hit home runs. And yes, as Craig said, you're going to get the full experience all summer long, the highs and also the lows. How about this? What year is it, Craig? When I tell you Craig Mish, Craig Kimbrell, Major League Baseball, you see this picture coming up. You immediately want to put that arm up in the air as it hangs there. Craig Kimbrell, Mets debut in the 7th inning. How about that?
Could have retired 3 years ago, Donnie, and nobody would have cared. But, this is one of those guys that falls on the list Donnie, of you got to tear the jersey off him, right? Like, I think, didn't he have a cup of coffee in Baltimore? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was dropping the balls in Philadelphia, letting guys run
Yes, he
the
was.
third because he didn't like that. He don't like guys standing on second. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not a player like this is in the Hall of Fame or not. I have had this debate with people for a long time, and I continue to. And it's no disrespect to closers or anybody who just has the ninth inning. And I'm not somebody who considers an old school guy. I've definitely conformed to all the new rules, and I love them, and I love everything that's new about baseball. But the idea that you can get into the National Baseball Hall of Fame by coming in and pitching one inning over the course of your career, and that's all you do, to me, I've had a hard time with that. So this modern day closer, ever since Mariano Rivera, and certainly Trevor Hoffman, we've sort of crossed a bar here for putting guys in that could throw like 15 innings and not pitch for like 3 or 4 days. So I think Kimbrel was a great closer. I have a hard time putting all of these closers into the Hall of Fame. I felt that way about Billy Wagner, who was a great player too in his time. Yeah. But to me, it's such a different standard now at that position. That being said, Kimbrel's career is not only on the back nine, Donnie. He's past Amen Corner. He's already in the clubhouse. I don't know what's going on here with the Mets, but I guess some desperation.
Senior, what is it, Long Island Ducks? Like, he's probably coming up on that at this point. And by the way, we talked about the Yankees here losing 4 games in a row. How about a mirror image in the National League in the same city? The New York Mets here had a good start to the season up until the last 4 games, which they've lost. Here's an Anthony DiComo tweet here. So far today, talking about yesterday's game, Senga walked in a run. Lindor was out of position with a double play ball, which you saw. He's had a real weird start to the season. Alvarez passed ball. Benj commits an error. And also, the team failed to convert consecutive grounders into outs. The 3rd inning, it's 7-1. What's up with the Mets' slow start, which includes Francisco Lindor?
Yeah, I think our producer Sam's a little worried too. There's going to be a major adjustment period when you blow up 30% or 40% of your Major League Baseball roster like the Mets did. So I just think that's all that's happening right now. I'm not overly concerned. The Mets probably win close to or 90 games this year. They're only 1 game under 500. We haven't got out of April. They're still uber talented, elite players. I think elite pitchers by the time we get to the end of the season too. So bad run, just like anything that happens in April, it gets over magnified a little bit, and that's what's going on with the Mets.
How about on Friday here? Ichiro, one of the great Major League Baseball players worldwide, whether what he did overseas or in Major League Baseball, fantastic, unbelievable ambassador. So rightfully so, he gets a statue out front of the stadium in Seattle at T-Mobile. Craig, I've seen a lot of statues here. You could touch the statue like, man, you could drive a semi into this thing. It isn't moving. How does the bat break when they just pulled a little bit of a light sprint, like, what should I actually call it? Like the unveiling of it there with like a bed sheet, and it broke the bat. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Mariners, very funny, sent out a tweet saying that this is the updated the updated statue that we're giving out, and they showed it. Yeah, there it is. That was great. I'm going to use that on Newswire tomorrow. It does, Donnie, reminds me of like going to a game and getting a bobblehead, opening it up, and immediately it's broken without doing anything. Yeah. Like you're like, wait a second here, I got the bad bobblehead. Look, the Mariners will get this fixed, but absolutely a funny moment in sports and a funny moment for Ichiro, who, by the way, Ichiro's a big jokester too. I'm sure he doesn't take this that seriously.
Exactly. And by the way, if they did that bobblehead for real, Craig, and gave that out, that would do a lot of numbers at the box office. People want that one. It's fantastic. How about the Chicago White Sox? Not a lot to look forward to. If not, you want a Pope hat. Take a look at that. Tuesday, August 11th. You get the Pope Sox hat, Craig.
Good news. White Sox fans may have something to look forward to in August. Case closed.
Murakami, they should wear that Pope hat during the game here, because how many fans will be in the stands too? And by the way, usually the giveaways go real quick, Craig. Will they have enough people in the stands to even get the giveaways, or they give them out for 3 straight games? That's the question over there at the quote-unquote new Comiskey. We'll be back. It's Pro Baseball Today on a Sunday. No better place to be. Let's get to the games. Pro Baseball Today, radio on a Sunday on the SportsGrid Network. No better place to be. Craig Mish and Donnie Rightside here. Let's get to some of the games. We're going to start in the charm city of Baltimore today, Craig. San Francisco, the Giants are in town to close out the series against the Orioles. Hauser's on the mound versus Povich. This line overnight, Craig, opened up around a minus 130 price. It's a little bit higher depending on where you're shopping. I see FanDuel minus 134, DraftKings minus 134, but a total, 131, but a total, Craig, of 8.5 that's listed. If we take a look at the temperatures, still cool conditions, 65 degrees, but Craig, a double-digit wind blowing out to left field. Let's get it started on the Giants and the Orioles today.
Yeah, could be some runs today in this game. You certainly don't have the Giants' number one starter or the Orioles' number one starter or their two or their three. So you do have an opportunity, I think, for some runs to be scored. But if there is going to be a common theme on this show, and this can change, Donnie, by the time we get to next week, absolutely, is I keep being asked, like, how do you assess the first couple of weeks of the Major League Baseball season? Donnie, it's very clear to me what's going on. Everybody's 500 or a little bit below or a little bit above. Okay, the Dodgers are not. But what I'm saying is that we have everyone sort of playing mediocre baseball at the start of the season. So it's really tough, I'm guessing, to handicap this because every team is 8-7 or 6-8 or 7-7 or 9-5, etc. So I think in games like today, totals are really what I'm most interested in. And taking a look at this game in particular, when you have two pitchers who are on the back end, you're looking at a potential over here. But the other part of this, as we cautioned last week, and I'll do the same thing again today, a lot of teams in baseball, Donnie, have not had a day off in a while. And so you're going to see some sitting of players coming into this Sunday as well. I don't have a strong opinion on the game itself today, but I do think some runs could be scored.
Yeah, one of the interesting parts about Hauser last year, Craig, against left-handed batters, he faced 261 of those and a 181 ISO, where it's just a little bit elevated, and a 355 weighted on base percentage, which is elevated. That same characteristic, Craig, has traveled through so far to the early numbers of 2026. Hauser, right-handed pitcher against lefties, a 250 ISO against and weighted on base percentage of 483, but also a very low K percentage. But when you look at that Baltimore Orioles offense so far, Craig, on the early season against righties, hasn't performed all that well. Gunnar Henderson has good power numbers. Taylor Ward's okay. Beaver's average here. And O'Neill with a solid weighted on base percentage. But the rest of that lineup, waiting for them to wake up. If we flip it over and take a look at Cade Povich, the lefty on the mound, only 13 batters he's faced here from the right-hand side, Craig. He's done very well. No, a 0, I should say, ISO power number and a 175 weighted on base percentage. However, the lineup for the Giants has been decent, Craig, so far this year against left-handed pitching. Chapman, Devers, Schmidt, Encarnacion has only had 4 or 5 at-bats here against left-handed pitching, has done well. But maybe we do see an under in this game because you're right about this. Some players are going to set and also get away games here. Don't love this game, but you do have that double-digit wind blowing out to the left, though.
And the Giants, we could say after a really slow start to the season, are definitely playing much better at this point. So there was, some panic, I guess, early on. Is it the manager? Are there issues here? This is where you got to be careful and say to yourself, it's a long season. Now, look, when Giants fans look at their record and they see 6-9 through 15 games, it's obviously disappointing, and this could change in a hurry one way or the other. Baltimore, over the course of the season, probably going to be the better team. But we'll see what happens this afternoon at Camden Yards.
Let's get over to Philadelphia here. My Philadelphia Phillies, who have, again, put me through the ringer so much. There's talent there. There's good starting pitching. And sometimes, Greg, nothing happens. They went 20-plus innings, which included back-to-back shutouts against the Giants. Not their pitching staff, their batters here. Then on Friday, Craig, they get 4 runs in the first inning. Like, all right, we're back. They didn't score the rest of the game and lost that game. And yesterday, Taijuan Walker took the mound, gave up 2 runs right away, and the Boo Birds were out. But the offense did save them, but again, it only basically 1 inning. Today, it's Zach Gallen on the mound to take on Andrew Painter. Mixed bag for Painter so far in the early season. The Phillies overnight, Craig, did open up as a favorite at minus 136. They're as high as minus 146, depending on where you're shopping, in a total of 8.5. Early on in the season, the Jekyll and Hyde Philadelphia Phillies, they're a favorite today going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I kind of like Arizona today a little bit here in this one.
I do too.
The thing for me with the Phillies, Donnie, as you mentioned, is Harper's coming around a little bit here, and that's okay. But, I mean, is Schwarber going to go back to being that 190 guy again? And like, is Alec Bohm just not going to hit? Like, they have, right now, Philadelphia, I mean, to me, either the best lineup in the National League or one of them. But they have like 4 black holes right now going on right now. They're like 4 guys just like not hitting at all. And Arizona, to me, a little bit more consistent. So Probably for me, a game that's going to come down to the bullpens again. But clearly the pitching matchup, in my opinion, favors Arizona here today. So I am on a little bit of a lean toward the Diamondbacks today, and I absolutely think a close game that comes down to the end. Yep. But I think the Diamondbacks potentially could take it.
Absolutely makes a lot of sense, too. Like, the Phillies do have decent numbers early season, Craig, against right-handed pitching. But again, it is Jekyll and Hyde. Like, Schwarber does have a couple home runs, a 417 ISO against right-handed pitching. Same thing with Bryce Harper, decent numbers, and Marsh. But understand this, Marsh in like that cleanup role now, which was supposed to be, Craig, Alec Boehm, and he's slipping down like 6 to 7 to batting 8 that order. That's something certainly to keep an eye on at this point. But if we do flip it over and say, well, how can Arizona combat and pick up a win here? Painter against right-handed batters, not very well. Lefty's very good, but still a rookie trying to work his way through. And Craig, as you know as well as I do, second, third, fourth time around the league here, they'll get a book on you. Many teams have not seen Andrew Painter yet, but understand this. That lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks hasn't been great, particularly, Craig, against right-handed pitching. Carroll's got good numbers. Perdomo's got good numbers. Vargas has good numbers, but the rest of that lineup, Craig, really struggling. Now in Philadelphia, 65-degree temperatures, wind blowing out 8 miles per hour to left field. So not great hitting conditions, but not bad ones either today.
No, I don't think so. And also good. I believe Corbin Carroll is now getting back and healthy into the Diamondbacks lineup, but he missed some time this week. So obviously him being in the lineup is absolutely huge. And again, I think panic going on in a lot of cities and maybe even Philadelphia too. But they're 7-7, mixed bag. There's talk now Wheeler could be coming back. I mean, I don't know about soon, but at some point, I still think the Phillies will be perfectly fine. Arizona is one of those very well-run teams and well-run organizations. They're in it every year, Donnie. It doesn't matter who they have or who they don't. They're always going to be surfing around 500. So again, not a huge, strong opinion on this one today, but I would lean toward the dog here in the Diamondbacks in Philadelphia.
I would as well. 63 batters on this season that Zach Gallen has faced. The K rate isn't there from what we used to see in the past here for Zach Gallen, but the ISO against 125, weighted on base percentage against 306. That's right where you want to be. One of those high points here for the Philadelphia Phillies so far in the season, though, Justin Crawford batting out of that 9 hole has been very good over the first couple weeks. We'll see if that move to move him up in that lineup makes some sense over the next 2 weeks, but I don't want to rush the kid. It's Pro Baseball Today. We're not rushing through anything. We'll be right back.
Not all these kids, but the majority of these kids in the top 10 have had things handed to them since they're in 3rd grade because they're special athletically. And the fact that they get humbled a little bit, I'm here for the humbling. I've been humbled. I like when other people get humbled.
But you were humbled later.
Yeah.
You weren't humbled at 22 in front of the world.
No.
You were a grown-ass man.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
I got to tell you, Kansas basketball the last 3 months, if I was the number 1 player in the country, I'd cross them off my list. Bill Self did not do Darren Peterson any favors. And now Badunga's going to stay in college but leave Lawrence? I'm red flags, in my opinion, Gabe, around the Jayhawks.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Miami today laying 17.5. Miami wins, get a load of this, 152. When you hear 152, I don't care if you're laying 100. You're thinking you're winning that bet, right? They win 152 to 136. They only win by 16. Washington get the backdoor cover.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Invest, find somebody else in the market right now, like JJ Weatherholt or someone else, because this is the worst time, I think, to buy a guy like Griffin.
You can bring up Polymarket right now. Go to the NL Rookie of the Year page. It is a roller coaster of everybody changing from favorite to not favorite to favorite to not favorite. Look at that. It's like a earthquake happening, Craig, and the Richter scale is going nuts.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into Pro Baseball today. Craig, Mitch, and Donnie Rightside here. It is a glorious Sunday, also at Augusta as well. You'll be watching that along with some Major League Baseball action. Down the stretch they come, as we like to see, which is when we like to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, where, Craig, last year could have won the World Series. Just needed one victory in game 6 or 7 at home. Weren't able to get that done. Then they played and lost the series already to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they find themselves today taking on the Minnesota Twins. You would think this probably should be an easy win on the calendar. Not so fast. Max Scherzer's on the mound, which, I don't know, is going to pitch 2 to 3 innings today before leaving and getting his elbow checked. We don't know that. Taj Bradley, the once flamethrower from down there in Tampa Bay, he's getting the start for the Twins. But the favorite here overnight was a minus 116 split to minus 102 split at FanDuel. It's roughly in that same realm right now, Craig, in a total that's listed at 8. Minnesota, we left them on the side of the road saying this team is going to be competitive this year, but we have high expectations for Toronto. Interesting start for both of these teams so far, Craig.
Yeah, good start for the Twins. I don't think anybody had them being over 515 games in. I still don't have a ton of confidence as the season rolls on with them. And I do feel like they were sort of in different buy and sell modes in the offseason and letting go of their president of baseball operations. Donnie, I still feel like this is a team in the second half that's going to sell a lot of the pieces and, kind of play for the future. Blue Jays, it's about now, and nothing has gone right for them. They've had a lot of injuries. They haven't hit. They haven't pitched. And you would think that this is a really good get-right spot today for Toronto, but they have a lot working against them. Bradley's pitched very well, and the Twins batters have squared up Max Scherzer very well through the years. A lot of the guys in the lineup, including Josh Bell, have had a lot of success against him. So I think the Twins, this was one of those dogs that I was looking at, but I'm like, wait, this is no fun to just take a team that's minus 105 or 110 or plus 105. I think the Twins have another shot to win this game today. At the very least, I think there'll be some runs. And offensively, there are at least, I saw 3 batters that have faced Scherzer and have hit him very well. So I think there's a chance of that. And, the other funny thing is that you hear, like, and breaking down in handicap, the Twins, they're crushed. They don't have Royce Lewis again. I mean, have you been watching the Twins the last 2 years? Royce Lewis has missed so many games. This is not part of your handicap. You can't count him as a guy who plays every day. Unfortunately, to me, when he plays, he's one of the best players on the field. He's out again. I have no opinion on this game today, but I do think the Twins are going to hit a little bit.
I think the Twins could be live, too. You take a look at Taj Bradley through those 3 starts in the Major League Baseball season, went 4 1/3 innings pitched, then 6 innings pitched, then 6 1/3 innings pitched, sort of getting stretched out, but also his hard contact rate against him. First start, Craig, 71%. Second start, 50%. Third start, 33%. So maybe some things starting to get into form with him. And if we just look at his overall numbers, Craig, again, 70 batters he's faced, as you pointed out. How about an 0.31 ISO against? Spectacular. How about a weighted on base percentage of 249? Look at his K rate from last year, Craig, 21% through 605 batters, only 70 batters this year, up to 31.4%. So looking good from a pitching perspective side. But let's talk about Max Scherzer and what the expectations are, because coming into the season, I didn't have many, and he's living up to exactly what I thought, Craig. Only 31 batters he's faced on the season. ISO power number 207, weighted on base percentage 295. The K rate is low, but it's always how much you're going to get from him, Craig, and is this going to be a bullpen game for Toronto today?
Yeah, there's been already scary moments with him. Not really sure. There's something to be said, I guess, for the World Series hangover. But I think, Donnie, there's just more to be said when you're packing up these injuries. And look, they signed Anthony Santander a couple of years ago. Obviously, he's just missed a ton of time, so he's not part of the conversation at this point. And I understand that, and he shouldn't be. But then you lose Trey Savage before the season even begins, and Bieber hasn't pitched. And then we find out yesterday that George Springer has a broken toe, and he's going to be out too. This could be a matter of the Jays are going to have to second half it. Like this may be a team that just plays 500 ball for the first half of the season until they get healthy. But I don't know if they can afford to do that. This is not like a Dodgers where you can sleepwalk through the season and just figure it out at the end and let Mookie Betts sit for 5 months if he has to and bring him back at the end. It feels like that's what the Dodgers are going to do this season. I'm concerned about the Blue Jays. I am. And it's not the record. I'm just concerned that too many things are going the other way for them. And I guess we'll get the word on Springer later today, but a broken toe sounds like weeks, Donnie, right? It doesn't sound like he plays tomorrow or anything.
Exactly. No, that's something you're going to have to try to get him back in that lineup sooner than later and hopefully just be healthy for those summer months. But also, when you look at Max Scherzer, last year, Craig, he got crushed by left-handed batters. This year, through 17 batters, he's actually been pretty good, and right-handed batters are hitting him now. But if you're looking at that lineup against some prospects against right-handed pitching that we estimate to start for the Twins today, Larnach's got some really good numbers. Through 23 at-bats, a 412 weighted on-base percentage. Josh Bell, through 29 at-bats against righties. How about a 348 ISO and a 475 weighted on-base percentage? And then there's Christian Gray, the lefty here, 286 ISO and a 384 weighted on base percentage. For me, I don't think I can look towards the Toronto Blue Jays today. I just think it might be a slight mismatch on the mound, and maybe the Twins can win another game. We'll be back on Pro Baseball Today, right here on a Sunday on the Grid. Talking about a little bit of a heat wave that's going to hit the East Coast upcoming this week. Well, some of those teams, Craig, already starting to feel that heat in the Midwest. We're talking about the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Cincinnati Reds today. 1:40 Eastern start, 78 degrees at first pitch. By the time we get midway through that game, Craig, 81 to 82 degrees. And as always, in the Great American Ballpark, you get that wind blowing out to left field. You can have some fireworks. It's blowing out about maybe double digits here. However, look at the pitchers on the mound today. Soriano's been really good for the Angels. Abbott, the lefty, on the mound for the Reds. Craig, overnight, a de facto pick 'em, and we still sit that way. And a total, which actually opened overnight at 8, has increased now to 8.5 at just about every outlet on the board today. Angels and the Reds, Craig.
Of course, we started off the season before we began. Donnie and I said Jose Soriano was the best pitcher in the American League and going to win the Cy Young, right? Of course, we both had that one.
Absolutely.
Going for 4 wins today. I mean, who had that one on the board? Jose Soriano, the very best pitcher in the American League to start the season. So we obviously know there's some regression coming there. So here's what I could say about the Reds. Here's the good news. I just saw this team in person for 4 straight games, did pre and post game. So I think, Donnie, the Reds are a huge sleeper team for me on any kind of odds to get to the postseason. I think they're going to make it. They're very well managed. Francona's got them playing very well. So that's number one. Number two, they're pitching very well too, even without Hunter Green and without Nick Lodolo. Abbott is good. But here's the issue, and to me, it's the easy play. they can't hit, Donnie. What is going on with the Reds? They can't hit at all. Yes, Ellie De La Cruz can hit, and Sal Stewart has hit, and that's it. Like, literally, that's it. I saw them for 4 days. They scored a couple of runs against Miami, but it had nothing to do with environment or anything else. They're just at the plate, swinging the bat, not taking a lot of pitches, not taking a lot of walks. I think this is going to be another low-scoring game today in Cincinnati until this offense starts getting on track or potentially make some adjustments with some players at the All-Star break. They've got a lineup, to me, look, Cincinnati, I understand what you're saying, Donnie. There's always a lot of runs scored in that park. It's always been very favorable, but Eugenio Suarez has done nothing, and their offense has been slumping, and so I think, I don't know if Soriano's going to win or lose tonight, but I do not see runs being scored in this game today.
I'm with you. And also, it's interesting, Craig, like overnight, you saw the 8s go to 8.5. So I'm with you. It takes 9 to beat you on the under. I'll take that under. And just to piggyback off of some of what you're saying, Jose Soriano last year had some pretty good statistics. Now, the statistics, can they hold up this season? Oh, we'll find out. But an 0.62 ISO against with 71 at batters going up against them, that's fantastic. A weighted on base percentage, microscopic, Craig, at a 163 and a K rate of around 30%. Then you take a look at the Reds. Usually teams, Craig, like, well, yeah, of course, they're going to struggle early in the season against lefties. Soriano's a righty, and against right-handed pitching so far, Friedel, terrible. McClain, terrible. Ellie De La Cruz, power numbers, only a 114 ISO. Sal Stewart's the one bright mark. And after that, Suarez, Steer, Benson, Cabrian, Hayes, and Higgins. They've done absolutely nothing. Now you flip it over to the other side and say, okay, Andrew Abbott's on the mound. 55 batters he's faced, Craig, from the right-hand side as a lefty. He's been sensational. An ISO 0.20 against and a 228 weighted on base percentage. You have Neto and you have Adele have done very well with limited at-bats against lefties. The rest of the lineup, Craig, leaves a lot to be desired, just to say the least. I'm with you on the under today.
Yeah, I think the Reds pitching, if they get Green back and Lodolo with Rhett Lauder, and I know Burns got beat up yesterday, I this is an elite rotation to me in the National League, and I think the Reds make the playoffs. But Donnie, in this scenario, they're going to need to make either their hitters are going to have to hit more. I know it's early, but they're going to have to hit a lot more for that to be sustainable, or they'll have to make some moves. And I feel like this could be a put the foot on the pedal season. I mean, Donnie, how long is Terry Francona going to manage the Reds for? Like another year, another 2 years, another 3? Not very long.
Tito, great manager there, Philadelphia Phillies. Come on, man, he still should be with the Phillies with multiple championships, but that's a story for another day. Craig, we talked about 80-degree temperatures, right, in Cincinnati. Oh, that's nice. Now let's go over to the Big Apple here, and ice-cold team, those New York Mets. 55 degrees at first pitch today, but a wind blowing out double digits to left field at Citi Field. Maybe that helps the bats, but Savali's going to be on the mound against the ace for the Mets. At least they hope, Freddie Peralta. A 140 start there in the Big Apple. How about this? A 168 favorite for the Mets overnight, actually increasing, Craig, some outlets as high as a minus 175 for the Mets. A total overnight listed at 8. Now we're seeing 8s and 7.5s in the marketplace. The slip-sliding New York Mets today looking to bounce back against the Athletics.
And I think they do. I think the Mets will win this game. The A's, I guess if they just play the New York teams, Donnie, they'll be fine, right? All they got to do is play the Yankees and Mets. So A's will be better, I think, than people thought, but I don't think that they're a 500 team. And so naturally, if you close your eyes and you just think that through, I think the A's probably lose 85, 88 games, somewhere along the lines. That means that there's going to be some losing. The thing for me with the A's, which is the funniest thing of all, Donnie, is that in the fantasy baseball community, the hottest name, the one name that you had to have on your team at the start of the season, amongst every analyst, among every person, was Nick Kurtz, and I am sure Nick Kurtz will get it going. But Donnie, could this guy have gotten off to a tougher start for his sophomore season after the year that he had last year? I mean, the A's are lucky to be 7-7. I think the Mets are just way more talented than the A's. So, look, I'm never laying minus 170 ever, but I do think the Mets will win today.
See if Langoliers can go yard a couple times, maybe Soderstrom today. But if we do look at Aaron Savali, not a great pitcher that we can agree on here. Struggles a little bit with right-handed batters this year, but take a look at this Mets lineup, Craig. This is through roughly anywhere between, let's just call it 23 at-bats to 48 at-bats in this starting lineup against right-handed pitching here. Lindor's ISO power number. Keep in mind, you want that around like a 175. He's at a 122. Bichette an 023. Polanco an 097. Luis Robert, who got brought over 43 at-bats, Craig. He's supposed to add some power in that lineup. A 0 ISO power power number, which means he doesn't have an extra base hit against right-handed pitching. Beatty, Dientos, Simeon, Benj, and Torrens, none of those guys are hitting today, which, Craig, you cover a team in Miami, right? When you take it to the Big Apple, I don't care where you're at, like, it just levels up where when this team struggles with that high payroll, the Boo Birds come out early. It's going to be a tough one for the Mets. Look, another one, Craig. I think this is going under the total today.
It could be. Yeah, low scoring.
Yeah.
I agree with you as well.
Let's flip it over here. Those New York Yankees at Tampa Bay. I was like to say, look, last year we were playing outdoors, Craig. No longer at the Trop, and the Yankees feeling really like the home team in Tampa Bay because they're playing in the spring training facility. Back over to the Trop today, and another favorite for those Yankees. Schlittler's on the mound overnight. Let's call it minus 140, Craig. That's risen to around minus 155 or higher, depending where you're shopping at. And the total, very Trop-like at 7.5. Rasmussen is going to be on the opposite side pitching against Schlittler today. Yankees and the Rays.
Typical Yankee season, Donnie. Here we go again, right? They have that pocket where they don't score and everyone freaks out and they stink and they can't win and fire Boone. There's nothing to worry about. What I would say on the Rays side, and this is for like a daily prop market, this kid that the Rays have, Chandler Simpson, man, they found another kid who's getting on base a crazy amount of times at the start of the season, getting in front of Aranda, getting in front of Junior Caminero. The Rays are fighting Donnie every single year. Schlittler's been amazing. Rasmussen, generally speaking, you think he's probably going 4-5 maximum innings today. I think the Rays have another chance to win this game today, Donnie. I do. Look, the Yankees are going to be fine, and they're going to make the playoffs, but you see that logo there of the NY. Why is red in the background of NY? Because fans are just so mad every day at the Yankees. They're going to win 90 games. People are not happy with that. So give me Tampa today, but close game probably.
That was interesting. Like last year, Rasmussen's numbers were very good, Craig. 588 batter he faced against those power numbers, 126 ISO, really good, 272 weighted on base percentage. You like that. Into this year, he's actually struggled a little bit with left-handed batters. Now we say struggled, it's only been 26 batters. But if you look in the middle of that lineup against right-handed pitching, those two lefties, Bellinger and Rice, they've done a lot of damage. Bellinger, 176 ISO and a 377 weighted on base percentage. But look at Ben Rice, 41 at-bats against righties this year, Craig, a 552 ISO and a 591
he's been ridiculous
on base percentage. Yeah, he might be able to do something, those two lefties in the lineup, but the rest of it, again, not too great.
Yeah, I mean, look, Rice has carried the Yankees to this point. Let's be fair. Stanton a little bit too, but I just love the overreactions for the Yankees, Donnie. It just nothing makes me happier to see that every day.
Every day. So what? Judge hit 2 runs today. He's going to strike out 4 times tomorrow. The Bronx is always burning, as they say. Good times ahead on Pro Baseball today. Hit the dial right here.
That we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately and that it's working with lawmakers on, common sense proposals.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quickly learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Pro baseball today. Great Sunday. Major League Baseball. The boys are in the building. It's Craig Mish and it's Donnie Rightside. And away we go. Divisional matchup here in the AL Central between the Chicago White Sox. What were the expectations? They'll probably finish in last place in that division. Where are they sitting right now? 5-10 in last place in that division, but higher expectations, of course, for those Kansas City Royals. Today, they'll tee it up at 2:10 p.m. Eastern. Taylor on the mound, the righty for the Chicago White Sox, going up against Cameron, the lefty here for Kansas City. Heavy favorite, Craig, overnight. Let's call it minus 180. No longer the case now. Minus 190s to minus 195 to where you're shopping. And also, take a look at the total today. 9.5s overnight. A lot of outlets still sitting at 9.5. Some have it at 9, but rain is expected in the forecast today. 66-degree temperatures, but 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field. So rain may be in the forecast. Heavy favorite for Kansas City here, Craig.
Yeah, White Sox are playing horrible. The one thing that baseball has got to figure out, and look, we don't go by batting average anymore. You mentioned ISO, weighted on base, OBP, OPS, but the White Sox don't have a hitter in their lineup that is hitting above 220 this season. I mean, that is absolutely disgusting. And so another, I think, low-scoring game today, probably, Donnie, in Kansas City, because even if the Royals played 4 or 3 or 5, can the White Sox even score a run? The one thing to keep an eye on late in this game is arguably the best relief pitcher right now going in the American League. His name is Lucas Erceg. He has 5 saves. I believe he leads the American League, but he's pitched back-to-back days with saves. So if this is a close game, Donnie, in the end, the Royals may have to go to somebody who they don't want to in the 9th inning, and I always warn people of that. If you're feeling just so good taking the Royals, they're up 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. You never know what can happen when you have to use an alternative closer. Royals can hit a little bit better. The line absolutely makes sense to me, but the Royals aren't exactly hitting the cover off the ball, Donnie. Bobby Witt Jr., no home runs. Are we going to get out of April with a home run from Bobby Witt Jr.? This guy was supposed to be maybe the MVP of the league. So clearly I will side on the side of the Royals. The White Sox are just not playing good baseball.
It's so fun the way you look at it, too, because, like, what's supposed to happen? Like, last year, like, hey, did you see the renovations that are going to take place in Toronto? So everybody goes, yeah, Vladdy's going to hit like 50 bombs in that place. Like, oh, what happened here? This year, the excitement in Kansas City was, wait a second, you're going to get some of that heat and humidity over the summer in the Midwest. You're going to be pounding baseballs, and oh, yeah, the fences are getting moved in and they're being lowered. Well, yeah, Vinny Pasquantino's going to go nuts. Bobby Witt's going to go nuts. We haven't seen that just yet, but as we pointed out, rain is in the forecast today despite that 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left field. If you take a look at Noah Cameron last year, Craig, 555 batters he faced, a 148 ISO against and a 285 weighted on base percentage. He was really good. This year, sort of an extension of that, Craig. Only 44 batters that he's faced this year. But look at the ISO against, 071. Decent K rate, low walk percentage, weighted on base percentage against a 260 here. He should be able to keep those bats down. Outside of some power numbers with Murakami and Vargas, that lineup, again, just doesn't look that good with the Chicago White Sox. Now, if we flip it over to the Kansas City Royals, you say, who can come up and who can get the base hits on this team? Well, we're waiting for it to happen. And some of these guys do have some decent hard hit contact rates against righties, but just the production, we'll see if it happens today, Craig.
Yeah, and again, Michael Garcia has been probably their best offensive player. It shouldn't be a surprise. This kid, over the last couple of years, have really come into his own. But, I mean, if the White Sox are going to, basically knock 3 hits today or 4 hits today, 5 maximum, I don't know. They're just not hitting at all. And Murakami got off to that really strong start. And then you know what happens, Donnie, is that these guys get in the they used to call it the film room. Now I don't even know what it is. The streaming room. I don't know. They look at the video and they figure him out. And that's it. They're like, do not throw this guy this pitch. Okay, fine. That's it. And Murakami's going to have to adjust. So 5-10 record for the White Sox at the start of the season. I don't know that the Royals are great, but they're much better than Chicago.
Feels like they're on pace there. And by the way, Grant Taylor on the mound today. If you look at the middle of that lineup for the Kansas City Royals, and Taylor's got some good numbers, but Salvador Perez, decent power numbers at a 222 ISO against righties. But take a look at Carter Jensen, the lefty. 29 at-bats against right-handed pitching this year, Craig. He's a high strikeout rate, but when he does make contact, a 481 ISO and a 388 weighted on base percentage, and maybe a sneaky guy at the end of that lineup, Kyle Isbell, 269 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 459. But Craig, I just seem like we're running the same record. Like, well, I don't know if we're getting a lot of runs today.
Every game. I mean, Look, earned run average isn't always the indicator, but you have two guys in the White Sox Royals with ERAs under 2, and neither of them are that great. But the pitching is always going to be ahead of the hitting this time of the year, and as you've mentioned, the weather playing a major factor in this. And the other thing that you could do, and look, this is just general baseball. If you're handicapping or watching a game live, if you see a lot of the hitters, particularly on one team, swinging at the first pitch, it's getaway day, folks. Like at that point, you got to wonder what the approach is for that team. So just keep an eye on that today, especially with the weather being what it is.
Monster favorite we'll get to up there in Milwaukee, Craig. Washington's in town to take on the Brewers, a 210 start. And you look at this between Littell and Woodruff. Overnight, minus 180 price. They are long gone. Minus 220s, minus 225s in the marketplace now is a heavy favorite for the Brewers. The total of this game, another low one, Craig. 7.5 overnight. Still sitting at 7.5 at most outlets today. Heavy favorites today, those Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I got to tell you, every 5 days that this kid, Foster Griffin, pitches for Washington, he was a former first-round pick. They got him for nothing, basically, from overseas. Got to give a lot of credit to that organization for finding him and building him back up. I think someone's going to get this kid at the deadline when Washington trades players. And every 5 days, Donnie, I would back this kid, Foster Griffin. He looks great. But that being said, that's every 5 days. What about the other 4 days? Not today. I'm a little worried about Brandon Woodruff of Milwaukee. Like he's made 12 starts last year, 11 the year before. When he retires, he'll be an all-time Brewer. I think they'll retire his number and the whole 9 because he'll probably end up, pitching a decade with them and finish his career with them. But I'm a little dicey on him today, and backing such a big number here. He hasn't looked great for me.
By the way, he has struggled to start the season through 47 batters. And this guy in the middle of that lineup, C.J. Abrams, a left-handed batting shortstop, a 444 ISO and a 522 weighted on base percentage. A couple of those guys certainly elevated at that point. But here's one of those matchups that I like. Zach Littell's a righty on the mound. He could face as many as 7 to 8 left-handed batters / switch hitters in the lineup today for the Brewers. Turang, Yelich, Mitchell, Bowers, Rengifo, Frelick, Perkins, and Hamilton. Those are some of the things I like to see. Maybe we get some runs today finally in one of these games. And Craig, as we talked about, weather conditions are bad. Well, if they're bad in Milwaukee, who cares? You keep the roof closed and away you go. I think we might be able to get some runs in this game. And some of those batters we just talked about could appear on some home run props later. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back. Craig, Mitch, Donnie, Rightside here, talking some baseball on a Sunday. Love to see it. Good luck if you have any Masters competition down there. But our focus on the show is, of course, with Major League Baseball. Craig, if we started a couple weeks ago and I told you it's going to be two teams that are going to match up on a Sunday here. It's going to be the Boston Red Sox and it's going to be the St. Louis Cardinals. One of those teams will be under 500. One will be above 500. Most of us, including myself, like, hey, man, I'm high on the Red Sox. They'll probably get off to a good start. Hasn't been the case. And then there's the St. Louis Cardinals. Ooh, I wonder what we're going to get out of them. And it's probably going to be a lost season. They're actually over 500 to start. And today, they're going to have another game here in St. Louis. Bayo's on the mound for Boston, going up against Palante, the right-handed pitcher for St. Louis. If we take a look at the side itself, overnight, Craig, minus 120s, still in the minus 120s. Total this game listed at 8.5. Struggling Boston in town versus St. Louis. What are we looking at today from your side?
Yeah, bizarre start for the Red Sox. Any team can start off 8-6, so I'm not all that bullish on St. Louis. And if I had to guess, the front office is kind of probably looking at this going, wait a second here. I mean, this is not what we, this is a down year for us. We'll need to be winning this many games. But look, good for the Cardinals fans. They're always very passionate. I think the best fan base or one of the best fan bases in the country. What has gone right for the Cardinals? Listen, the common theme in this show is, I know Bayo hasn't pitched well, but the common theme is everybody's pitching well at the start of the season in April. And this is going to go the other way eventually. But Donnie, this is a great lesson for all in baseball. Sometimes you have a prospect that just takes a little while to get it. And I mean, I don't know if he's gotten it or not, but Jordan Walker is leading the major leagues in home runs. And that was supposed to happen 3 years ago and 2 years ago and last year. And then it was like, give up. He's done. It's not going to happen. And now all of a sudden, he's the most dangerous hitter going right now. So he'll be in the lineup today. You see his prop numbers in terms of odds shooting down in terms of length. He's one of those that's predicted to hit a home run now almost every single day. Boston not playing great baseball, but I do think eventually they will get it going. And it just shows you there's Jared Kelenic, on one side who just never had it. And you waited and you waited and you waited and it just never happened. But it could and another example of a guy like that, Donnie, is this the season of Mickey Moniak? Remember Mickey Moniak, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to steal it from you there, but I almost picked him to hit a home run today and or propped it, and I looked at him like, I don't know if that this. But sometimes it just takes time for these guys. We give up so soon. Credit to Jordan Walker for whatever adjustments he's making. Dangerous hitter going right now for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Mickey Moniak right out of high school here. And it's so fun. Like some teams tank and your organization isn't good. You get Strasburg, you get Bryce Harper, and it's like, man, that's exactly what you want. Like we got Moniak in Philadelphia, so the expectations were high, even though the scouts were telling you he's not really a number one. It's just it fit into that slot there. There's not too many. And by the way, you look at that top 10, top 20, there wasn't a lot of superstar studs in that draft either, but Moniak looks like he's finally getting it, and he's still relatively young in Major League Baseball years. We'll see if that goes. So when you take a look at this game itself, Craig, we talked about so many situations where, what are the weather conditions going to do? Is it rainy? Is it cold? Craig, we got 78-degree temperatures today in St. Louis and sustained winds at 17 miles per hour blowing out to left. So you take a look at Bayo on the mound. Last year, he was very good. As you pointed out, not so good to start this season. 45 batters he's faced, an ISO against, which is 189, slightly elevated. But that weighted on base percentage, 425, his K rate, only 15%. Burleson, Walker, Gorman in the middle of that lineup. And by the way, the first 6 guys in that lineup against right-handed pitching, we're talking about the Cardinals, everybody's above average there with weighted on-base percentages. And if we flip it over to Palante, he struggled at times last year, but very good with his power numbers to start the season. However, Craig, low K rate, high walk percentage, I actually think, hey, we might get runs today in St. Louis.
We could, definitely. Boston's got to get it going offensively here a little bit. I do think, concern level when you look at 5-9, I think Roman Anthony will be fine. He really hasn't done much, but I think, the concern for me, Donnie, is, some of the other guys in life, Trevor Story in particular, batting 130 on the season. And I remember in spring training, it's like, wow, he looks like he's all the way back. He had a good opening day and all of these expectations certainly changed for him. But Trevor Story, he ain't 25 years old anymore. So, I don't know, is Boston's roster construction correct? I think so. I think they do get it going, but you can lose a season in April, and if Boston is going to start off 5-16 or something, I don't think they will. But look, they're 5-9, 6-16, 6-15. Can't have that. So this is a series that they were supposed to win. So I don't know. It just hasn't been a great start for them.
Yeah, entering in the season, I was high on Boston, liked the pitching additions that they had, thought they had a good enough bullpen here, and that nice mix of speed and power in the lineup, and also a good mix of veterans and also some young guys breaking into that lineup. By the way, Wilyer Abreu, batting fifth in that lineup, a 342 ISO and a 496 weighted on base percentage against righties. Spallante is today. We'll be right back.
Process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Pro baseball today, hour number 2. Where did hour number 1 go? Why? Talking Major League Baseball. So much fun. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Craig Mish. Away we go. And also, it is Masters Sunday, Craig. So in your household today, we're watching a lot of Major League Baseball, and also golf is on the TV. And by the way, like the unofficial, I have to say it 3 times, start of the Major League Baseball season. It's like, okay, get the opening day, then opening weekend, then the month of April. But also the Masters on a Sunday where you just see not a cloud in the sky. I'm like, we're finally here, Craig. We made it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the Marlins Tigers game is over, Donnie, that's it. I'm locked in the rest of the day to the Masters. And I saw the tee-off times a little bit later. Every year, Donnie, they get a little bit later. Have you noticed this? The Rory and the leaders tee off at 2:20 p.m. today. So this is going to be like a 7:30 p.m. finish. I got plenty of time to watch this.
Plenty of time on it. And as you guys know, Craig does cover the Marlins here. We got a great pitching matchup down on South Beach, so we can't get into the game particularly. But Craig, Alcantara looks like he's back. Skubal, the favorite to win the Cy Young. It's a great day down there in South Beach. But talk to me about Alcantara and Skubal. And again, he's back, it looks like.
Yeah, and throughout the season, we'll definitely talk Marlins baseball because, again, me being part of the pre- and post-game show this season and doing a lot of coverage there, we're not going to handicap individual Marlins games here on the show. But that being said, this is the best pitching matchup, I think, of the day in baseball. Yes. I mean, Sandy Alcantara leads the major leagues in WAR. And, of course, that is the number when you're handing out the dough, Donnie, when these guys are looking out giving out contracts. And he has been just fantastic. There was a game earlier in the week where it looked like he was going to complete the game. He was taken out of the game, and the Marlins lost that one. But he has been fantastic, and so has Tariq Skubal. And I saw them both saying glowing things about each other in some of the previews leading into this game. But let's be clear on this one. The Marlins right now are not hitting. They really they got off to such a strong start hitting, and then the last couple of days in Detroit, it hasn't gone all that well. So of course I'm hopeful that changes today, but I picked the worst day to be hopeful about that. Honestly, like Scooble has been fantastic, but I'm just hoping for a really close, low-scoring, fun game with a lot of flair going into the late innings, and hopefully we'll see if the Marlins could come out with a win on this one. But man, it would be nice to get one of these 3 games in the series, Donnie.
You got a couple of these things all coming to fruition, too, in this game. 2 great pitchers, Craig. A double-digit wind blowing in, only 60-degree temperatures, and that's why that total is listed at a 6. It's probably going to be low scoring there, but certainly looking forward to watch that game and enjoying it at 1:40 p.m. Eastern. Let's get to a game at 2:20. Let's go out to the windy city of Chicago. We just talked about a game there, Miami, Detroit, that's going to have a wind blowing in. Hey, well, what's Wrigley doing today? Oh, that's right, Craig. 75-degree temperatures at first pitch here. Windy conditions, but the question, is it in or out? Oh, it's dead center field at about 17 miles per hour, and away we go. So that's why, Craig, Chandler on the mound versus Tyone. Okay, can these pitchers hold up? Total, Craig, 12.5 at Wrigley with the Cubs as a favorite. What is this, Coors Field? Let's go.
All right, so this is the one of the bigger developments of the early part of the season that at least, Donnie, I think makes you wonder if this is real or even close to real. Because as you know, Donnie, it has been a really long time since you've looked at the Pirates on paper and thought, okay, I mean, is it legit? Can this team make them? You've always thought, maybe 500, a little bit below. I mean, look, they had some good teams too with McCutchen. It's not like they were a disaster. But for the first time this season, they look formidable. And naturally, when you go, Donnie, I don't care. The Cubs are good. They've gone into Wrigley and won the first 2 games already of this series, and their pitching has shut them down. I do expect the Cubs to turn things around eventually, but Donnie, why not just take the Pirates one more time here today? Like ride the wave. Like what they always say, let the trend be your friend. The Pirates are playing well and the Cubs are not. Why am I going to get talked out of that here on this Sunday? I don't know.
No, and by the way, Bubba Chandler last year, 124 batters as he faced. He had some pretty good numbers, but keep an eye on this one, Craig. Last year, through those 124 batters, his walk percentage was 3.2% if you combine lefties and righties. Let's fast forward to 2026. Not only 40 batters into the season, his walk rate, Craig, 25% at this point. ISO power numbers are good. K rates are decent here. Weighted on base percentage low, but that walk rate will get you in trouble here, and particularly talking about a 75-degree day at Wrigley with the wind blowing out. But if you look at the Cubs lineup, Nico Horner, good statistics so far through 41 at-bats, gets right into pitching on the early season. Ian Happ has been fantastic. High K rate, but when it's contact, there's a lot of power there. But Craig, the rest of the lineup, Bush, Bregman, Suzuki, P. Crow Armstrong, Kelly, Swanson, none of those guys doing anything against right-handed pitching this year so far.
No, Cubs making some mistakes too on defense, at least to get the Pirates one of those wins. And I still do like Chicago a lot, and I think they're there. This may end up, Donnie, by the end of the season. We may be talking about this as one of the best divisions in baseball. It's not generally something we do, but if the Pirates just hold court and the Reds just hold court and the Cubs are in this thing, the Brewers are going to be there in the end too. I mean, that's 4 of the 5 teams. I do think the Cardinals are going to push back at some point, fall back a little bit. But I got 4 teams with a possibility of making the postseason here, Donnie.
So interesting to look at that division, too, because, again, we're really early in the season, but if you would have said before the opening day started, hey, 4 of the 5 teams are going to be over 500, who's the team that's going to be out? Well, we probably would have said it's the St. Louis Cardinals. No, it's actually the Chicago Cubs in last place right now in the Central Division. Some bright spots in that Pittsburgh lineup today against right-handed pitching early in the season. Brandon Lau, 440 ISO, 511 weighted on base percentage, and a low K rate. Ryan O'Hearn lefty in that lineup. 296 ISO and a 507 weighted on base percentage there. We'll see where it goes. I don't like both of these lineups technically on paper, Craig, but I like the weather conditions at Wrigley. 12.5. Oof, boy.
It could be a fun game played today, but Cubs eventually will get back on track, but I'm not fading Pittsburgh until I see them fading themselves.
Let's go out there and take a look at a Western matchup here in the American League. It's Houston and it's Seattle. This game's going to be in Seattle, 4:10 start Eastern. For this one, Bolton's going the right-handed pitcher for Houston, going up against Logan Gilbert, the right-handed pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. If you look at the opening numbers overnight, Craig, let's call it minus 155. They're not there anymore. I'm seeing as high as a minus 175 currently at FanDuel, and a low total, as we typically see in Seattle, listed at 7.5, Craig, at most outlets.
Okay, so, Friday night, Sam will remember this. I was on with Kevin and Gabe, and like their biggest concern was Seattle. And I was like laughing. I was like, well, why? Like, Seattle's really good. Like, this is a really long season. Their biggest concern, Donnie, should have been Houston. I think Houston could be in some trouble. I mean, the guy who they just signed can't pitch right now. I guess he's got a dead arm. Their lineup is on the older side. They've got a couple of nice pieces. Donnie, this is not the Houston Astros of Springer and Altuve and Correa and Tucker and a great Yordan Alvarez. I don't like the Astros. I don't think that they're a great team anymore like they used to be. They weren't a great team last year, and they really didn't do a lot to make themselves all that better. I could see some changes coming there. I'm still bullish on Seattle. I mean, come on. With that pitching, Donnie, you can't give up on them that quick.
No, they'll be fine all summer long. They're going to have a better pitch than you 9 times out of 10. It feels like every game they match up. But also, the way these two teams have started their season, we thought maybe we were saying, you know what? Looks like Houston can do some damage with this lineup. Craig, they've lost 6 games in a row now. Both of these teams technically in last place in the West with the 6-9 Mariners and the 6-9 Astros. Now, the one thing that's interesting, too, is Yordan Alvarez, who barely played at all last year, so many injuries, he's been really good. Altuve's good numbers, and Cam Smith does as well. But the rest of the lineup, not doing a lot of damage, and Logan Gilbert's on the mound. The one thing I like about Logan Gilbert, always going to have that high K rate and low walk percentage, so you're going to have to earn it going up against him today. You take a look at Bolton on the mound. Last year, only 10 batters faced. This year, only 30, so limited production. But also, Seattle, Randy Rosarena, Luke Rowley, as well as Brandon Donovan. Really good statistics, Craig, against right-handed pitching today. Probably going to be the Mariners, and that's why that line's on the move higher and higher every time I check.
It probably should be the case. And again, every team's going to lose 3-4 games in a row over the course of the season. 6 games in a row the Astros have already lost. That usually is not a team that makes the postseason. They got to get it going. Could it be 7 today? I guess we'll see.
By the way, Rodriguez, 40 at-bats against right-handed pitching this year. A 0 ISO. Get it together, people. We'll be right back after the break. 9-6 versus 6-9. And by the way, just a few short days ago, Craig, we had the Rockies with an even record. Well, it's not the case anymore. They're 6-9 here on a 3-game losing streak, thanks in part here to those San Diego Padres. Today on the mound, it's going to be Kyle Freeland, the left-handed pitcher, going up against Nick Pivetta for the San Diego Padres. This line, very high overnight, Craig. Minus 215s. We're now seeing in the marketplace as high as 245 at a few outlets, in a total listed at 7.5. San Diego is thinking, yeah, really nice weather. Cooler temperature, 67 to start this game. But how about this, Craig? Some drizzle and rain possibly expected at the end of the game, like the apocalypse out there for the Padres. But there is winds blowing out to right field.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often. Look, Padres are much better than the Rockies. Oh, let's also keep in mind the Rockies got swept by Miami the first 3 games of the season. They're still 6-9 from that. So, I mean, if you think about it, they're 6-6 in their last 12 games, which is way better than what you thought the Rockies would have been. You know, Nick Pivetta's last season was amazing, but I don't think that anybody thought that he'd be able to repeat it again. I mean, he is striking out a lot of batters to start the season. But, you know, Freeland is one of those guys, Donnie, that you don't want to see on a Sunday. This, you know, soft tossing a little bit, left-handed pitcher. You know, guys are just kind of swinging to get home. You know, we'll talk about it a little later in the show. I think the Rockies have a shot here, man. Like, I think they have a chance in this game. I know there's a huge line here. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think Freeland is going to get beat up. It's not like the Padres are scoring 10, 15 runs a game or anything like that. You know, clearly, every once in a while, you got to take your shots. But I think I'm going to take my shot today on the Rocks. Moniak is playing at a high level for them, which is surprising. They have this kid, Troy Johnston, who they got from Miami, who's off to a pretty decent start as well. And you know that their offense generally is pretty good as their pitching that is bad. But Freeland is the one sort of anchor I think that can get the job done. I'm going to keep a close eye on this one today, Donnie. I think that this, you know, look, every day there's a plus 200 coming in, right? There's just not a lot. But every day that there's one or two, maybe for me, this is the one today. We'll see.
Could get home. By the way, also looking at Freeland as a left-handed pitcher, if you say usually, lefties might struggle a bit with righties, that hasn't been the case this year for Freeland, Craig. 55 batters he's faced from the right side. How about a walk rate of around 7%, which isn't bad, but look at the ISO against. 061, fantastic. Weighted on base percentage, 276, great. Ground ball percentage, 52.6%. Love to see that. And also for a lineup today that might have Jackson Merrill's a lefty and maybe Cronenworth, that's it. So you're talking about a lot of lineups here, a lot of lineup that has those right-handed bats, which Freeland has been very good. And also, you do talk about Pivetta. Last year, 739 batters he faced, Craig. How about a K rate last year of 27%, low walk rate, low ISO, low weighted on base percentage? He's sort of doing the same thing this year through 57 batters, a low ISO and a low weighted on base percentage. So I look at this and maybe we do get an under, but it's going to come down to if Freeland can tie up those bats early. I don't see a lot of runs here. And maybe, Craig, you could be looking at a big dog price in this game. Now, when we talk about big dog prices, you're usually not going to find that from a Los Angeles Dodgers side. Roki Sasaki hasn't been that good early season. He's going up against Jacob deGrom today, but as we know, doesn't matter. The Dodgers are always going to be the favorite. They're home in Chavez Ravine. Overnight, Craig, minus 120 price point at most outlets. A little bit higher today. Let's call it around minus 130 and a total of 8.5. Texas versus L.A. in L.A.
Yeah, man. You know, I am surprised that the Dodgers have gotten off to this start, 11-3. Like, you know, looking at their win total at the beginning of the year, 105, whatever it was, I'm like, you know, it's like it's not something that I would mess with. But generally speaking, you don't want to get into that sort of number because you never know what September could look like. But if you would have told me they'd be 11-3 with Sasaki not pitching well and Mookie Betts not even playing, it just shows you just how stacked they are. So this is one of those where I look on the board and it's an absolute complete total stay away from me because the Dodgers usually are. And even laying a run and a half, or I mean, like, what is Sasaki right now? I'm not sure, Donnie. I really don't know because I'm not optimistic from what I've seen. The most incredible thing for me, and what everybody's now going to be watching, if they're not already, is Shohei Ohtani's been on base, if I'm not mistaken, 45 times, 45 games in a row. Is there anything that this guy does not do? Guy is absolutely incredible. Doesn't even need a day off. From Texas's point of view, I think they're probably better. They're going to have a hard time getting Ohtani out, though, today and every day. 7-7 start for them. Like so many teams in baseball, Donnie, everybody's like 500. It's hard to get a read.
Yeah, take a look at the Dodgers. 11-3 on the season now. Won 2 games in a row. 8-2 in their last 10. Just get used to it. As Craig pointed out also, the one thing we always know about the Dodgers is the depth is so like you can lose 3 or 4 all-star players off your roster. If anybody else has 3 or 4, like that's the end of the season. Not for the Dodgers at this point, but the one thing I do think Texas can get after here is Roki Sasaki. Last year, Craig, only 190 batters that he faced in Major League Baseball. Lefties really got the best of him here. 198 ISO, 341 weighted on base percentage. Much better against right-handed batters. Fast forward to this year, 41 batters that he's faced, Craig, only 7 from the right-hand side, which he's done really well. But the left-handed batters, Craig, a 14% walk rate, a 250 ISO against, and a weighted on-base percentage of 393. So you want to talk about how does that correlate to the lineup for the Texas Rangers? Well, Seager's right in the middle of that lineup, Craig. 40 at-bats against righties, 353 ISO, 369 weighted on base percentage. Jock Peterson, 160 ISO, which is a little bit below. Carter's got good numbers. I do think that we might be able to get some offense because also, conversely, you look at Jacob deGrom on the mound. How long is he going to go? Throwing around in that mid-70s range, maybe a pitch cap around 80. We'll see, but look at that Dodgers lineup, Craig. Like Freddie Freeman is the low man on the total poll with a 301 weighted on base percentage. Everybody else against right-handed pitching to start the season, fantastic numbers.
Yeah, they really, and for Texas is concerned, eventually they'll get their offense going, but we do want to highlight the one guy who's off to a fantastic start. Ironically, the Mets are probably looking back like, wait a second, can we get this guy back? Brandon Nimmo, wow.
Yes.
Donnie, what a great start for him. I believe he homered on the first pitch of the game yesterday for the Texas Rangers. So that's been one of their bright spots. But you would imagine Berger and Langford and some of the other offensive players at some point will get it going. But there's nothing wrong with your favorite baseball team being 500 in 2 weeks into the season in April. So because every team is going to lose 30, 40 games over the course of the year anyway. So get it out of the way now. Texas will be okay. I'm not getting in front of the Dodgers. I just look at them and say to myself, how many can they do this year after year? The new CBA and everything, like it's got to be a bigger question as we go, especially if they live up to these expectations and do win 115, 120 games. I still don't think that will happen, but man, they're on pace to do it.
Like, even with good baseball teams, Craig, you go against the Dodgers, can we just get one of those? Can we just leave like a 3-game set? We win one of those and we'll be really happy. Heaven forbid we win 2 out of the 3 games here. Now you're looking just to salvage it here. But I do think the possibility we might be able to get runs out there in Chavez Ravine could happen today. Maybe a Seager bomb? Maybe so. It's Pro Baseball Today rolling along on a Sunday morning right here on the Grid.
Not all these kids, but the majority of these kids in the top 10 have had things handed to them since they're in 3rd grade because they're special athletically. And the fact that they get humbled a little bit, I'm here for the humbling. I've been humbled. I like when other people get humbled.
But you were humbled later.
Yeah.
You weren't humbled at 22 in front of the world.
No.
You were a grown-ass man.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
I got to tell you, Kansas basketball the last 3 months, if I was the number 1 player in the country, I'd cross them off my list. Bill Self did not do Darren Peterson any favors. And now Badunga's going to stay in college but leave Lawrence? I'm red flags, in my opinion, Gabe, around the Jayhawks.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Miami today laying 17.5. Miami wins, get a load of this, 152. When you hear 152, I don't care if you're laying 100. You're thinking you're winning that bet, right? They win 152 to 136. They only win by 16. Washington get the backdoor cover.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Invest, find somebody else in the market right now, like JJ Weatherholt or someone else, because this is the worst time, I think, to buy a guy like Griffin.
You can bring up Polymarket right now. Go to the NL Rookie of the Year page. It is a roller coaster of everybody changing from favorite to not favorite to favorite to not favorite. Look at that. It's like a earthquake happening, Craig, and the Richter scale is going nuts.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Compelling matchups are what we want to talk about on Sunday Night Baseball. And just like Monday Night Football in the NFL, you want to make sure you get a really good game and two teams that are playing well so the public will enjoy it. We're actually getting that tonight. Two first-place teams. The Cleveland Guardians going to take on the Atlanta Braves tonight. From Atlanta, start time, 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Cleveland's going to throw Bobby on the mound, going up against Chris Sale, the lefty here for the Atlanta Braves. Overnight, Craig, we're looking at a line of a minus 180 price point for the favorite Atlanta Braves. That's actually higher this morning at a 196 to minus 199, minus 200s in the marketplace, in a total of 7.5. Monster favorite for the Braves in A-Town tonight.
Yeah, and a completely different start, Donnie, from the start that the Braves got off to a year ago, where they were completely upside down at this point in April. So on the Atlanta side, naturally, Chris Sale is going to give you 6 quality innings almost no matter what. Bobby's really good on the other side, too, for Cleveland. The one player to highlight, I think, in this game, and I don't know what the MVP market is, Donnie, and naturally it's really hard for the MVP to be a catcher in the National League, but are we sleeping at this point on Drake Baldwin? I mean, this guy has carried the Braves and carried their offense. Acuna finally homered. Albies has been okay. Riley's done nothing. I mean, Drake Baldwin is now, Donnie, number 1 catcher in Major League Baseball. I mean, we got to say it. And I don't even think the Braves saw this coming a year or two ago, but he is just a flat-out hitter, can defend as well, and arguably now maybe the most, outside of Acuna, maybe the most valuable player that the Braves have on their roster. For Cleveland, it's still piecing it together. Lauder has slowed down a little bit, as he wasn't going to hit 100 home runs, Donnie. I think that maybe we thought that going into last week. He's still stuck on 5. Jose Ramirez here, but I do understand the line here, and certainly Braves bullpen has gotten the job done too. They look like, Donnie, to me, the team that they were supposed to be last year. Braves are going to be back in the postseason this year.
Yeah, always like the Braves here. Like the management, the general manager, the team itself, they're always going to hang around. A good start to the season for them. As Craig pointed out, last year was a disaster all the way through. And it never, like, the hits just kept coming with the injuries. If they can just stay healthy, they're certainly going to be a player. If we focus on Chris Sale, too. Last year, Craig, 514 batters he's faced. How about a 121 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 280? Fast forward to this year, 63 batters he's faced, dominant against lefties, which he hasn't faced a lot, but also very solid against right-handed pitchers. But the one thing I do look at as well, Craig, is it's opportunities to get base hits, hard hit contact against Chris Sale. His first start of the season, 46% of the batters, hard hit contact rate was a plus. Second start of the season, dropped to 37%. Third start of the season, which only had 4 innings against the Angels, that was down to 20% here. So just making hard contact is tough to come by going up against Chris Sale. I do like some of the numbers for the Cleveland Guardians batters today, but again, it's all reflective. You can have a junk ball lefty that you can hit, and then there's Chris Sale, a little bit different metrics. Let's focus on Tanner Bybee. Decent season last season coming in. Lefties have gotten the best out of this right-handed pitcher. And if I look at the lineup today for the Atlanta Braves, Craig, it's like Austin Riley, not good statistics against righties. No. Ronald Acuna, but the rest of that lineup has really produced against right-handed pitching this year.
Yeah, it hasn't. And, Cleveland's lineup is not great, but it's kind of the story every year with them. It's just 2 or 3 guys going good, and then the pitching really carrying them over the course of the season. And, you look through that Cleveland lineup and you're like, wait a second, how are they 9-6? It's because, again, another really good organization that finds ways to get guys through 5 innings, 6 innings, and then have guys come in and close out the game. So, certainly Jose Ramirez, without a doubt, is the big threat today for Cleveland, like he always is. Kwan not off to the fastest start. I'm sure he'll get it going. And, look, that first opening week, the team was carried by Chase DeLauder. So, to me, not a lot of runs scored in this game tonight, Donnie. I just don't see it here. Atlanta would be the team, maybe from a team total perspective, that I could see going over their total. But beyond that, Sunday Night Baseball, you're kind of sitting around waiting to play all day, Donnie. Not the best scenario for me, but a good game, I think. If I'm not mistaken, NBC has the games on Sunday night. So NBC game, this will be a good one for me.
Yeah, 80-degree temperatures, which you like to see. Wind blowing in, though, Craig, almost double digits from right field off the chop house. But if we do look at Bybee's statistics, again, last year was very good. Struggling a bit to start the season against left-handed batters. How about a 323 ISO against and a 356 weighted on base percentage? K rate decent, but the walk rate a little bit high. Reason we bring that up is you talked about Drake Baldwin against right-handed pitching, a 317 ISO and a 435 weighted on base percentage. Right behind him, another lefty in Matt Olson at a 330 ISO and a 421 weighted on base percentage. Albie's decent statistics. And then there's Dominic Smith out of nowhere, 29 at-bats against right-handed pitching this year, a 222 ISO, and a 438 weighted on-base percentage. The lineup to me presents much better from the Atlanta Braves than it does today for me for the Cleveland Guardians, and maybe that plays out. But good baseball on Sunday Night Baseball, 2 first-place teams. Expectations, the Braves will be hanging around first place in the NL East. We'll see what we get out of the Cleveland Guardians, sitting at 9-6 to start the season. Let's have some more fun here. The games are done, but also the hot topics never stop. Let's take a look at some of those predicted markets coming up next. Craig Mish, Donnie Rightside here, talking a little predictive markets here and where they can settle in. And one of those divisions that maybe we didn't think would be all that exciting to start the season was always the Central divisions in the AL and the NL. But boy, we might have a barn burner this year, Craig, in the NL Central. Talking about those teams right now in listed order of first place to last. It's the Pirates, Reds, Cardinals, Brewers, and the Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs are at the bottom of the heap right now. So if we do look at Polymark and the prediction markets, they're still saying, look, last year, the team in Major League Baseball with the most wins, it was the Brewers. They're still the favorites, trading at a current 45% chance to win that division. The Cubs, who are in last place, actually trading at 29%. And then if we dip all the way down to the bottom, nobody is still believing in the Cardinals, Craig. It's just a 5% chance to win that division.
Yeah, so really good investment here, I think, on the Cubs. Yeah. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the show, on the Cincinnati Reds, because I do think that this is an organization that really is built to win now. So those would be the two teams for me. From an investment point of view here on Polymarket, the Pirates really don't make a ton of sense. This is probably the peak Pirates right now. You know, like why would you invest at the top? You buy at the bottom, you sell at the top. So for me, still the Cubs, still the Reds. Man, I mean, I guess 4 teams can't make the postseason, Donnie, but it sure feels like all 4 teams are built for it.
No, it does. And you take a look at the Cubs here, currently a 32% chance to win the division, but they're trading at 35 cents. So if you put that into a dollar form here, a $100 investment on the Cubs to win that division, even though they're last place, would pay back $264. The fun part about this too is, Craig, you can always have like the no contracts. It's almost like betting against the field. Like, I don't think the Brewers are going to win this division. Well, $100 wager would pay back $145, and then you get the Cubs, Pirates, Reds, and the Cardinals. Different ways to look at those opportunities. And as always, with some of these predictive markets, Craig, that you look at, you don't have to finish the job. You can say, you know what? I think the Pirates might get hot. I'll take them at 29 cents. $100 investment pays back $278. And whoa, July 31st, they're still in first place. You cash out that ticket for a nice profit here, and then you go, hey, let's just see if they can hold on. So, Craig, the no contract sometimes just as fun as buying into the yes.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, this is what makes some of the contract market so much fun.
Yeah,
but going back to the division again, it's really tough for me. The only advice that I would have here that's clear for me is the Cardinals are a no invest for me. Like that's the one team that I don't care what their record is. They could be a little bit over 500. Nolan Gorman, Alec Burleson, Donnie, some of those players, I expect them to be moved at the trade deadline. Yeah. So outside of the Cardinals, I think everybody's in play.
Yep, especially with the CBA coming up, and we'll get to that topic in just a few moments here. But before we do today, Craig, we also talked about it. Marlins in town to take on Detroit. Two really good pitchers on the mound today, and one of those is with Detroit. That's Tarek Skubal. In the predictive markets here, Poly Market, he's the favorite to win AL Cy Young this season, currently trading at 28% as a chance. But if we take a look at the guy in second, it's Hunter Brown of the Astros at 20% here. Crochet, DeGrom, Max Fried, all in the mix as well. But the favorite, it seems like it's always going to be, and rightfully so. Guys looking for another Cy Young. It's Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, I'm a little confused here why Hunter Brown would be second, because he's probably not going to pitch for months. He's not pitching for months as far as my understanding is concerned. I think he's got a shoulder issue that has him sidelined. So, I mean, Donnie, where's my investment in Jose Soriano of the Angels? Come on, this guy's been the best pitcher in the American League. Look, it's kind of Skubal's and anybody else's to lose here, and the injury to Brown definitely puts somebody else in the mix. But again, on the investment markets and on these prediction markets, you don't necessarily have to win. Like you could just do better by finding somebody who could finish in second place. So I think that would really be the key for me here. So a DeGrom possibility I think is in play. Skubal very likely to win the Cy Young. Yes, that is true. Donnie, we could get a runner-up or someone in third that we're not even talking about on the board right now.
Correct. Just need a good couple months there, and those pitcher statistics will certainly increase. You go all the way down that list to trading at 12% as a chance here. It's actually Cam Schlittler. $100 investment on him would pay back $317 in order to win that. We'll see if that happens. But also, you can take the no contracts. You just want to hate on Tarek Skubal, $100 investment on the no, which means you get every other pitcher, Craig, in the entire American League, but would only pay back $126. That tells you how good a pitcher Tarek Skubal has been, and the continuation of he's going to do it again in 2026. But let's keep it in the American League, Craig, and have some fun with this. The favorites to win the league and take down the pennant. The New York Yankees had a 20% chance to do that, followed by the Mariners at 17%, and the Tigers, the last double-digit team, at 10% there, Craig.
Tigers have just lost a number of games in a row until they got back home and then, took care of the Marlins the first couple of games. To me, Donnie, in watching Tampa Bay, I don't think they're going to win the World Series because they never have. Yeah. So to say that they would, or the AL, they've only done that once. So it's a little bit ridiculous for me to pop on the show and say, take Tampa Bay. But, it feels like playing back at home in that ballpark has them juiced a little bit. They're playing good baseball. For me, that's one of those teams in the end could be a surprise postseason team for me as well. So I'm going to keep my eye on the Rays at this point. And another buy low possibility, maybe Boston, but I don't see Boston winning the American League. Seattle was my team at the beginning. I'll stick there. I'm going to throw a little love on Tampa Bay here on the prediction markets.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, if they play well and juice it up there, then you can increase that percentage. And then by the end of August or even into September, before you get to the playoffs, you can cash out that ticket. Also understand this, American League champion doesn't just mean the best record in the American League at the end of the regular season. You're also just trying to quantify once they get to the playoffs and what could happen. Detroit Tigers, short series. Oh, no, it's Valdez if he's healthy and Skubal if he's healthy. They're going to be a tough out. Also, what do we get out of Garrett Cole with the New York Yankees? And we think Schlittler might be really good over the summer. That's a great 1-2 punch. And also, Also, the Red Sox on a tough start, as Craig pointed out, 7% is currently their chance, which they're trading at 8 cents here on a contract. A $100 investment will pay back $12.50. Once again, if that $100 investment starts to pay back $200 and $300, if the Red Sox make a rebound, let's just say before the All-Star break, that could be money in your pocket. But Craig, talking about money in your pocket and money in Major League Baseball's pockets here, we just saw last week a report come out that $5 million is that average base salary here in Major League Baseball, which is at an all-time high. Did you know, though, throughout the CBA process so far, which probably hasn't really started, they got till December the 1st. Back on February the 26th, Craig, it was a 51% chance that we'd have a new CBA done by December 1st. The very next morning, it dropped to 20%. Oh, no, back up to 50%. Oh, no, back down to 28%. This has been a roller coaster, Craig, on what we're getting out of the CBA. But once again, I want to be optimistic. I love Major League Baseball, but I'm just not optimistic by at least December 1st, we're going to get a new CBA.
Yeah, we've done this 3 weeks in a row, and I've had the same opinion of all. I am optimistic that this will get done, and I am optimistic that we will play a full season. Spring training, I don't know. Look, again, that's kind of right after December when you think about it, a couple of months away. But yeah, on this one, look, and again, Donnie, let's make it clear here. They are talking now. It's not like they just start talking later, but it just things heat up once there is potentially a lockout, which I think we all expect to happen after the season. So for me, not much of a chance that this happens by December. That's, by the way, just a guess from me. But if we did this by, let's say, April, I would say yes. I do think that cooler heads will prevail this time around. I don't think we're going to lose time, and I don't think we're going to lose a season.
Now, could cooler heads be prevailing here, Craig? Because I need to understand this timeline. On April the 4th at 8 p.m., we were 28% as a chance for the CBA to be ratified and approved before December 1st. Then all of a sudden, by the time we got to April 8th at 8 a.m., we were up to 43%. Who's sharing information out there, Craig? Who's giving the notes?
I don't know,
you know
man.
what? We're optimistic now.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going to happen. I do. I think that I think there's no choice in this happening, and I think it will. But you're right, Donnie. That's so bizarre. I don't know what that's based on at all. Truthfully, I have no clue.
Movers and shakers there at this point. Again, if we can get it by December, that would be a miracle, which means we have a whole off season. Everybody knows the contracts, Craig, because the one thing I don't want to see happen, which might kind of be fun, if we start the season late, the ratified CBA is late, and changes to the salary cap and the structure of who gets paid, that could be mayhem. And also, Craig, real quick, does this mean that we might see more Major League Baseball players signing contracts before that CBA, or are they going to roll the dice for after it?
Nah, dice is rolling, man. Agents want that money, Donnie. They're behind it. Got to get that percentage.
Scott Forrest. Come on now, brother. Let's get this done. We'll be right back.
That we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now, and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately, and that it's working with lawmakers on common sense proposals.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quickly learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors, none over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You
build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Baseball Today, Major League Baseball insider Craig Mish. Love to have him here, and it's Donnie Rightside. Now, for me, I'm on the opposite end of it, so I might make up some sources myself and hope players can get traded. Craig does not do that, but take a look at this prediction market, Craig. Pro baseball players to be traded. Now, granted, it's early. Most teams don't make trades this early in the season. They wait till the trade deadline, and or if we're getting close to winners and losers by the end of the year as we're looking towards next year and beyond. Christian Walker has a 63% chance to get traded from Houston, but a lot of these guys trading high, Craig. How do we feel about this marketplace? And also, did you get any phone calls this morning that Mike Trout's going to the Philadelphia Phillies or anything like that?
Yeah, I know. We're still on that. So, Cleveland is in it, and so Quan is not one that I would invest in. I know that his name has come up a bunch. And look, by the way, when Cleveland has played well, they've sometimes made deals. So that is true. But for me, I think they stand pat there. Yandy Diaz would only get moved if things went sideways for the Rays. Otherwise, knowing the way that they operate, they would stand pat too and try to win. So, yeah, Christian Walker's a fair name. It feels like whoever's in the back room of Kalshi picked a good name here to get moved. But, Donnie, in order for that to happen, two things. Number one, Houston would have to not be good. And I think that that's possible. I've illustrated that I think that's possible. But, Donnie, Christian Walker's making a lot of money. So Houston essentially would have to eat the entire contract. That's what would have to happen. It looks like a busted signing for them. Unfortunately, Walker at the time looked like a really good signing for them, but it has not worked out. So, yeah, I would think that that's a strong possibility of happening, but you have to find the right spot. And, Donnie, let's also not, let's be real. Who really wants that guy? Who really wants, no offense, but who wants Christian Walker? A guy that's only going to play first base or going to play DH? Like, if I'm another team, wouldn't I want Josh Bell of the Twins over him? Like, any day of the week, Josh Bell's having a really nice start of the season. He's been traded to every team in baseball. Every time he gets traded, he does really well with the team that he goes to. Like, to me, that is more of a name that I could see happening.
Craig, talk to me about the San Diego Padres, because I loved what they did a couple years ago. Like, hey, we might want to challenge, and we got some extra payroll, and the ownership group's going to go in on it. Now, there has been some changes to the ownership group, but you see Tatis at the top of that list. Are we looking at a chance for the Padres just to go back to the old Padres and say, hey, nice ballpark, nice weather, you watch the game? Because for a while, it looked like they were going to try to trade up with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, so the Padres dynamic, Donnie, is fascinating because they're they kind of have, would you call it a monopoly on the sports market? I think that's fair, right? Yeah. Because they don't have the Chargers anymore. They don't have an NBA team. And so all of the advertising revenue that goes into that area in sports all goes into the San Diego Padres. And so, look, there's some discussion that before the owner passed away, he wanted to get to a World Series. And so made all those very big investments, Xander Bogaerts and a lot of other long-term contract extensions. The Seidler family definitely seems split on how to operate this franchise moving forward. But again, in the what I think is potentially coming in the salary cap era, it would give the Padres a better chance to fight with the Dodgers and some of those other teams. But without a salary cap, as you just alluded to, Donnie, I do not think that the Padres are going to continue to operate as they have. The $300 million to Machado's, the $250s to Xander Bogaerts, the $150 whatever it was to Fernando Tatis. I think those days are done.
Yeah, tough scene out there in San Diego. Just look, when the Dodgers are in your division, like you have those high aspirations to compete, and then the Dodgers just do that and much, much, much more at that point here. But let's take a look at this season's Major League Baseball and the players that can maybe do some damage. You talked about Jazz Chisholm's 77 season. Well, last year, Craig, he had a 30-30 season. Did you know 7 players in Major League Baseball had 30-30 seasons? So the question on the Kalshi marketplace is, How many 30-30 seasons will we get this year, Craig? Well, one player to do it's 99%. Two players to do it's 95%. If we include what they did last year, which 7 players did it, Craig, that's only trading at 15%, which is a 24% contract, which means a $100 investment will pay back $417. Can we get 7 guys again this year? That'd be incredible. By the way, only 3 in 2024, so a big jump last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that really happened last year. We're not off to a good start this year as far as that is concerned. And we're going to need some Tatis. We're going to need some Bobby Witt. Acuna is going to have to hit some home runs here soon. Jazz, who did it last year, is going to have to do it soon. So my answer would probably be no. Feels like every season is different in baseball. Last year, a little bit of an outlier. And I think that we're going to take that number probably, I would guess, way down this year. The other thing too is against advanced scouting, watching pitchers steal bases. It's not 2 years ago the bases were bigger and everything was easier. Feels like they've figured out different ways to stop that, and catchers are just getting much better as we go here. We're looking at pop time and how fast catchers throw the ball down the second base too. Maybe somewhere in the middle would be my guess. Not 7 guys doing 30-30, but maybe 3, maybe 4.
How about Major League Baseball pitchers? We don't want to see that pitch count get too high here. When back in the 80s and the 90s, Roger Clemens was like, give me that 20 strikeout game. Do we get, Craig, a 20 strikeout game in 2026 here? By the way, only trading at 9% right now.
Yeah, highly doubtful. Mizorowski would be the one name on Milwaukee that to me could pull this off. But Donnie, could he go 8 innings in a Major League Baseball game? And that's the problem, is that Miami Sandy Alcantara is the only one that you could basically count on going 8-9 innings almost every game. But let's be also honest, Sandy doesn't strike out 9 guys every game that he pitches to. So very, very unlikely. But the Miz would be my pick if there was anybody to do it.
20 Ks in a game. Crazy talk. A little Kerry Wood action from back in the day for Chicago Cubs.
I remember that one.
It happened before, but yeah, exactly. Not a huge percentage looking to do that this year. Pro Baseball's worst record, Craig. We go over it a lot. Look at those Rockies actually being comparable right now. Chicago White Sox 5-10 in last place, but Colorado probably going to be through the entire season, Craig, as your hometown favorite. 48% chance currently trading as the favorite to have the worst record in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and that's kind of the position that they put themselves in to be. And I've seen the Rockies in person. I've seen the White Sox in person. I still think the Rockies are worse. You know what's interesting is they have a really good 9th inning guy, Victor Vodnik. He could really help them or help somebody else. I just don't know what the point of him being on the Rockies is. They're going to punt at some point. I am concerned watching the White Sox offense, Donnie, that they're going to be right back to where they were a couple of years ago. But I would still invest in the Rockies having the worst record in baseball.
If you just want to say, we'll take every other team but the Rockies, you can still invest in the no. It's currently trading at 54 cents, which a $100 investment pays back $186. And if they just don't finish in dead last place, shows you why they're the heavy favorite. Chicago White Sox in that same motion here is actually at a 79% chance to be the no here. So Colorado by a wide margin here. Let's close it down with some best bet winners next. Fun day in Major League Baseball on this Sunday, a Masters Sunday. Craig Mish and Donnie Rightside here. We'd like to leave you with a little bit of fun here and see if we can get after some topics, which includes our big dog of the day. Craig, we could pick favorites today. Minus 220 for the people out there. Nonsense. We want to point the people in the right direction with maybe an underdog look that makes some sense where you could take down some plus money. So, Craig, the floor is yours here. Where are we going with a dog of the day for you?
All right. So I want to be clear before we begin here because I got blown up last week for nailing all the home run props and the dog. Okay. I hit 2 of the 3 home run props and the dog, and people are like, what in the world is going on here? Sam is telling me I don't think that's ever happened here, and we've been doing the show for 44 years. Listen to me. Do not tell me it's luck, okay? That was lucky. It is not going to happen again today. I could go the other way, like everybody on social media, and say I'm the best and I win every week. No. I had a really good day. Was very lucky. Of course, I know baseball. I follow baseball, but come on, to nail props of a home run guy going 8-1 and a 6-1, please. That being said, that's my advice to you today. I am going to take the Rockies today. I think they've got a shot to beat the Padres. I don't think they're a really good team, but they're playing good in April. So how can you get foolish in baseball? It's believing what you see in April and believing what you see in September. I don't believe the Rockies are good, but they're playing well enough right now to win games. They've gotten good offensive stats. I mentioned Mickey Moniak. This is somebody that did not factor into the equation in April. All of a sudden, it changes a little bit. All they want this guy to do is keep hitting Donnie so they could trade him in July. Same with Kyle Freeland. I think the Padres could struggle against left-handed pitchers. Give me the Rockies today, plus 190.
Now, what Craig was really telling, he's like, take all that money you got saved up for your kids' education and put that bad boy on the Rockies today, because Craig's red hot. Look, you don't have to do it out there, people. I'm going to do that here. Craig, taking the Rockies. I like that look, by the way. It does make a lot of sense for me. And we don't play any favorites on this show. That's how we get down to business. Of course, I can come on every week and give you the Philadelphia Phillies. Not today, people. Fading the Philadelphia Phillies. It's not to think that they can't win this game, because they can. Is their lineup better than Arizona? Absolutely. Do they have a young phenom they hope on the mound? Hasn't shown all that much yet since his injury. So for me, I look at the Phillies and say, yeah, they have a chance to break out, but also the same Philadelphia Phillies team, like, oh no, Zach Allen's on the mound, 7th inning, 1-0 game, Arizona. I'm going to take the dog price today on those Arizona Diamondbacks to keep it close. Plus 124 for me on the Diamondbacks today. Yeah. Do I hope the Phillies win, Craig? Absolutely. Do I think they win? Maybe they can, but I'm not trusting them with my money today. I'll take the plus money on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So 2 dogs today in the National League. Craig's going Colorado, nice big price point. I'm going with Arizona. But now, let's flip it over to some home run props. Craig, take it. Do we go 2 or 3 with big numbers? Look at these price points, Craig. Let the people know.
We're not going to hit this again. We're not hitting this again. Please stop. Don't jump on these. Gunnar Henderson is my first one. He's homered 2 consecutive days. We'll see if he can make it a third. He's plus 610. For the Orioles today, I'm going to go a little bit deeper here on all those lefties on Milwaukee, as Donnie really nailed that one earlier in the show. There's a lot of lefties that can hit on Milwaukee. Sal Frelick is my guy today at plus 980, and I do think the Mets have success today. That's my shorter odds one at plus 490. So give me Gunnar Henderson, Sal Frelick, Luis Robert, 0 for 3 right there.
Come on now. 0 for 3, 3 for 3. Don't worry. We're going to get those little updates like, boom, Craig, 1 down already. I'm like, that's the way we do it. It's really 6 players. If we can just get 2 of these guys, that is a fantastic day. Craig got 2 himself last week. That's how it's done. For me and my dingers today, I'm going with lefties, man. We're going to load it up here. Ben Rice at a plus 440 price. He said, well, Donnie, we need Ben Rice down there in the Trop. Trust me, his numbers are fantastic. It's 1 swing of the bat is all it takes. Number 2, C.J. Abrams. Sammy will like that behind the scenes here. Another lefty, plus 650 price point hitting there. And also, Wilyer Abreu, another lefty here. Boston Red Sox at a plus 590. Big tickets out there. Look, the hardest one, we can easily, hey, Craig, who's going to get a base hit today? Who's going to throw 4 strikeouts? Those are easy. Home run props. Look at the price points. Not even close to minus 100, minus 110. Huge plus money numbers. Let's get 2 of these, Craig, on a Sunday and get after it. And by the way, I'm going to ask you an additional question. Who wins the Masters today, Craig? How about that? What's that price point for you?
Oh, man.
Scotty!
You think Scotty? Patty Reed? I don't know. Tough one for
Captain
me.
America?
I want it just to go down to the end. That's it. Just give me the last hole.
That's all we need. And by the way, one of those interesting topics there for the Masters was, do they get a hole-in-one this week? They actually did get a hole-in-one. And another hot topic, Craig, was, do we get extra holes today with competition extending past 18? Maybe we do. Craig says yes. I'll go along with him as well. Thanks for tuning in to Pro Baseball today. We'll see you next week.
Process is closed. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.